As we all know, the Israeli Defense Force stormed a humanitarian mission last week. The boat was carrying publicly inspected aid to Gaza, which Israel has been illegally occupying and blockading for the last 3 years. The international community simply wanted to make sure that the citizens of Gaza were treated well, and apparently the response of the Israeli Navy was to hijack the boat in international waters and kill around a dozen civilians, who at best were armed with wooden sticks. Evidently, these paltry little annoyances with a cargo of food, medicine, and wheelchair scooters are a huge threat to the so-called Jewish state. Like most reasonable people, most of the world is mad as hell at Israel over this. I'm just not sure where to begin with this one. For one thing, Israel had no jurisdiction here. Even if this boat did somehow manage to sneak a weapon or a bomb into Gaza, the right thing to do would have been to escort the boat to a secure harbor to conduct their own search. Instead, they just stormed onto the boat and punched up everyone on board. And before anyone throws the self-defense excuse at me, explain this one. Israel has one of the best military forces in the world, and by all accounts they came into this raid heavily armed and armored. So why would a highly professional and well-equipped group of soldiers not be able to fend off a couple of people with sticks with anything less than gunfire? That's assuming, of course, that there's any truth whatsoever to Israel's claims that its troops were attacked in the first place. In any case, that's like saying that the proper response to getting nailed by a slingshot is to blow up the kid with a tank. Oh right, I just remembered what country I'm talking about. By the way, I should point out that when I say most of the world is mad as hell, I'm including Israel's allies. Well, except for Canada and America, which presently are more worried about appeasing the Zionist lobby than actually standing for peace and justice, no matter what Hillary Clinton claims. This, incidentally, is even after Israel murdered a Canadian soldier in a clearly marked UN observation post during the 2006 Lebanon War. Everyone else rightly calls this new disgrace an act of war, maybe even terrorism. But no, the Israeli government, Harper conservatives, and even the Obama White House say that humanitarians are terrorists. Excuse me? Before anyone accuses me of being anti-Semitic, don't bother. Even most Jews are pissed at Israel once again seeming to murder unarmed civilians. And calling the flack Israel is getting over this a gang up on the Jewish state's right to exist? Please. That's like the school bully crying because he's been kept after class. And don't bullshit me further and say that Israel must take extreme measures to survive in the Middle East, because here's a reality check. Israel is a nation armed with nuclear weapons. Not only that, but at least one of its biggest allies has even more nuclear weapons. The main reason why Israel typically only has to fend off a few ragtag militants at a time is because even those nations that hate Israel's existence realize that if someone is stupid enough to stage a full-frontal assault on it, they're probably going to glow in the dark less than 24 hours later. Israel and its enemies are therefore in little more than a constant heated standoff. It's nothing that justifies invading sovereign land, killing peacemakers, and firing chemical weapons on human beings. Finally, for those who will no doubt try to tell me that this is no big deal, that there's nothing illegal to investigate, explain this to me. Not too long ago, North Korea torpedoed a South Korean ship for no apparent reason. This also resulted in many deaths, was totally uncalled for, and has universally been called an act of war. For that matter, when Somali pirates do the same thing, we don't hesitate to send in Navy SEALs and shoot them on sight. Simply put, when virtually any country in the world except Israel does what it just did, we don't hesitate to call it what it is, cold-blooded murder. I won't even bother asking a rhetorical question as to why so many of us look the other way when the so-called Holy Land does it. I'll just get right to the point. Whoever pulled the trigger should be shot in front of a firing squad. That's it for me.